this Mr. Polanowski?
Oh, yeah, you can just call me Mike.
Okay, well, we just had a couple questions for you. My first question was, what do you think is the biggest problem with consumers in America?
In my opinion, the biggest problem is that with income increases, saving stays the same. So everyone acts that they want to save for the future, but they never really do.
Okay. My next question is, I know that you used to be a professional basketball player,
Yeah.
and I was wondering, before you had the financial education, how did you determine how much to save?
Well, there's a certain guidelines that you have to save at least 10% of your annual income. So, for example, if I had like $1 million income, annually, I would have saved about 100,000.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's all I have for you. Thanks for meeting with us.
No problem.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Bye the Econ Guy, and today we'll be talking about intertemporal models.
An intertemporal model is something economists use to explain people's preferences in relation to savings versus consumption over the course of their life.
Thanks, Emily. Today we'll be talking about the intertemporal model and how it works with everyday life. One of the reasons economists use this model is to measure our responses to present increasing levels of income and to determine how our expectations about future income influence our current spending.
One of the main people involved with this model was John Maynard Keynes. He was a British economist during the 20th century. His ideas were adopted by many Western countries, and the U.S. based many of their policies on his ideas. I recently sat down with Mr. Keynes to do an interview. Keynes, I hope you are doing well.
Yes.
So your Keynesian economic theory argues that private sector decisions can sometimes lead to inefficient outcomes, so therefore you advocate active policy responses by the public sector, including monetary actions by the central bank and fiscal policy actions by the government to stabilize output over the entire business cycle?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, did it feel great when your theory was published in the General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money during 1936? Because after this publication was released, several important schools did, during that time, adopt your ideas.
Yeah.
Well, I realize that you are some age now, but did you realize that after 2007, when the U.S. and even most of the world's economies busted, a resurgence in your theories arose? I mean, several important people such as George W. Bush, President Obama, and even the British Prime Minister Gordon Brown used your Keynesian economics model to develop stimulus programs in an attempt to help assist and rebuild the state of their country's economy?
Yep.
He was so inspirational. Keynes was actually a very important person in economics. His absolute income hypothesis suggested that an attempt be made to understand the relationship between income and consumption. He further stated that people were inclined to increase consumption when their income increased, which is why many U.S. citizens were given a stimulus check. The government wanted us to spend our money on junk to jumpstart the economy.
And Dr. Bye, Keynes also came up with the absolute income hypothesis, which describes marginal propensity to consume as an idea that the change in consumption is based on a change in income.
Yes, Keynes estimated that the marginal propensity to consume landed somewhere between 0 and 1. His research suggests that most lie somewhere between 0.7 to 0.8. Keynes also assumed that higher income earners would want to save more of their income. However, after extensive research, it was proven that people don't save more, they only consume more. The savings rate used in this hypothesis is around 0.1. This means that people need to save more in the future.
You can measure someone's marginal propensity to consume by taking their consumption in year 1 divided by their income from year 1.
Yeah! So the absolute income hypothesis is useful for explaining current responses to income changes, but it's not very successful for predicting responses to income over time. Some other awesome hypotheses are the permanent income hypothesis and the life cycle hypothesis. Both of these assume that people expect income to vary over time, but not their consumption. So we can shift resources like income, assets, and credit around so that between periods it will smooth compensation over the course of life.
We use permanent income to distinguish between flows of income that are expected and transitory income. Permanent income is basically the constant annual income for which the present value equals a family's net worth.
Is it my turn yet?
We can do it, but we gotta hurry because we don't have much time. We gotta hurry. Hi, Mr. Mogdiliani. I guess I'll introduce you now. Mr. Mogdiliani was.
Was? No, Franco's still is. I may be old, but I'm still rolling.
My bad. Mr. Mogdiliani is an Italian-American economist who won a Nobel Memorial Prize and was an originator of the life cycle theorem. Mr. Mogdiliani, what would you like to tell our viewers about yourself?
Well, I love SpaghettiOs and long walks on the beach and hot chocolate in the wintertime. Do you like SpaghettiOs?
No, not really.
It's pitiful. Who doesn't like Mr. Chef Boyardee? Anyways, Missy, permanent income is defined as one's resources in year 1 times plus the interest rate divided by 2 plus the interest rate. I also believe in something called transitory income, which is kind of like when you transition between ravioli and beefaroni. Which one will you buy? Transitory income is the difference between permanent income and current income.
That's all we have time for. Remember to cut out the junk and save a hunk.
Of money, that is.
Their savings. Assumption, what's your function?